This is a full tutorial of how you can build apps and landing pages using Bolt that actually looks good and does not take your entire day in creating them and debugging them. And don't take my word for it, Bolt actually paid me $500 for one of the landing pages that I created for their hackathon. And it only took me 3 hours to complete it end to end.
Let's see the next one. This one I thought was really cool. I was going to pick this one, but someone else had already picked it.
In this video, I'm going to show you the exact process that I use for creating that page and all my other apps. It starts with consolidating the idea, then finding the right design inspiration, then creating the first version, and then adding the final special touches that actually make your page stand out. Towards the end, I will also show you that how you can create apps and landing pages using Bolt right now and win free credits and even cash prizes. Let's get started. In the next hour, we are going to build out this product. This is a URL shortener. If you have used Bitly or any other tool, this is very similar to that. If you look at the website, we tried to give it a retro look so that people also remember going through this website. So this website has multiple elements, all these icons and this monitor and everything else has been made such a way that the website remains responsive. Next, there is a sign in, sign up screen over here. I will sign in. This is built using Supabase. After signing in, there is a dashboard over here. And all of this has some sort of retro vibe. This looks like an interface that was created back in the 90s. Now I will copy one of these links and I will paste this here and I will create a custom name for it. I will add this as docs. I will create the short link. And when I copy this link and when I run this in a new tab, this would redirect me back to the document. So let's wait a second. Yes, we are on the document. And apart from this, this will also update the number of clicks. So we can also track the number of clicks that a document is getting. All of this is built using Supabase. We would be going through the exact process on how we can build out this entire functionality in the next hour. Without further ado, let's get started. The first part of the process is starting with an idea. And when I say idea, I don't mean idea as simple as, just saying that we want to build an app where people can buy or sell their used clothes. By idea, I mean putting down all the details like what would be the exact features in your app, how would be a user using it, starting from the entry point of the app until making the entire transaction. How would they be in with the apps on all the screens, and what would be the tech stack that would be used. So all of this is what we would be doing in this first step of generating the idea and putting a structure around it. If you are watching this video, then you might have an idea. If you don't, you can just follow along this as a tutorial. If you have an idea, you can follow this exact steps to also build out that idea. So on this first step, what I do is I have this prompt that I used every time. So this prompt works well with any reasoning model. So if you are using O3 Mini, O1 or Grok 3, you would get good results. You could also use Gemini 2.5 Pro, which also seems to work well with this. I've tried it a couple of times, and you can also try out with DeepSeek R1. Both of these are free models, so you won't have to get a dedicated subscription for this. So this prompt basically tells the LLM or the AI model to act as your idea design partner. So over here, they would be just giving you inputs on this is lacking in your idea right now, which tech stack should be used. And over here, I've inputted all of these details, stuff like that. What should be the tech stack? So it gives preference to all those tech stack that is easier to build with Bolt. And still, if you would require anything more complex, it would still give you the right suggestions. So what you have to do over here is there is this highlighted section where you have to input all the details about your idea. So for this video, I would be generating a URL shortener, which also includes link tracking. So I would be just editing this entire thing for my idea, but you have to just copy this from here. Everything that is within the prompt brackets from top to bottom, and then you have to drop it in a reasoning model after inputting all your details. So I will go to a reasoning model. Over here, I'm using O3 Mini. Uh, I'm using this through t3.chat. You can also use it on OpenAI's own website or any other provider. So over here, I've dropped the entire prompt, and you will see that I have mentioned my idea over here. URL shortener with click tracking. Then I have mentioned the purpose and problem statement that it solves. What is the target audience? What is the core MVP features? I would want to include URL shortening and click tracking. Those are the two most important features for me right now. What is the unique defining feature? So in a lot of these platforms, you get URL shortener, but click tracking is what people actually want to track. Then desired user flow. Then what is the design aesthetic that I'm looking for, inspiration, user authentication, and everything else. And then I inputted this information here. So when you input this, what you get as an output is basically something like this, where you would have the X tag or the simplest definition of your idea. Then what is the purpose? What are the core MVP features? What are the screens involved? And lastly, you get this design inspiration prompt. So this is what we would be using in the next step. So if I go back to this workflow, then the next step is to find the right inspiration. Finding the right design inspiration is important because to explain to Bolt that what you're trying to make, you would have to describe it. And just like me, I think a lot of you won't have that innate skill of clearly defining or knowing that what is the kind of design you want to create. You would have some idea, but putting it into a picture, just figuring out that what is actually something that you would want to create, that just requires some amount of research. Some of you might be thinking that why we should be looking at other designs, but honestly, there are a lot of good designs already out there, and you don't have to recreate everything from the scratch. For this second step, we would be using Grok. Why we would be using Grok? Because it has internet's access and it can go through pages. It can just understand what is the kind of design we are looking for. And I have seen pretty awesome results when I've used Grok in the past for this step. You can also use Perplexity for this because it also has Google's access, but I've never seen good results from it. So let's go to Grok. And in Grok, you also have this option of enabling deeper search. So what this enables you to do is that you can basically ask it to look at these pages for an extended duration. So it goes up to even 100 pages while it's searching for anything that you have asked for. So I will just drop the prompt here and I will just let it run this. I've already ran it in the past. So let me just show you. So this is when I ran it in the past. It went through 43 sources. It looked at a lot of web pages and it finally recommended me some sites where I could find the right designs. So it recommended going through awards.com. I think over here they put some award winning websites of designers, but this has a bunch of websites that I can go through to find something that works for my aesthetic. So I went through all of these websites. To me, something that stood out is this website. So you will see that this website basically just seems like a monitor on a screen, feels very much like a video game. And when you click on this button, then the website starts running. So over here you can access the internet. I'm not sure what all of these options are over here. Maybe this is some sort of dummy app or something that is not a product website, but I would want to create something like this where we have a sort of a monitor in between. We might have to get some of these pictures from different sources, or maybe just create some of these from Mid Journey or any other LLM, and then just putting our options over here. So I'm expecting this would be the homepage, and when someone clicks on one of these, they would be redirected to the dashboard. So this feels like a very cool concept. This would just create a very memorable website. So what I will do is I will just capture a quick screenshot of this page. I just did it. And apart from that, I will just keep this tab open. We will come back to this when we are in the design phase of our website. So now we are done with the first and second part. The next part is where the actual building begins. The next part is creating the first version of the app within bold.new. Over here, what we would be doing is that rather than directly jumping onto Grok, we would be putting in a prompt over here in the same chat where we initially started with. The prompt over here is we want to build the above app using an AI agent. The AI agent has access to all the coding tools and can create the app. I want you to break down the entire app making process in 5 to 6 prompts that I can feed the agent to build the app systematically. Make sure to include the full context and code examples and file structures in your prompt. And please note we are using Superbase Edge functions for this. And please set up a React TypeScript project with White. Although the last two lines are already included in our initial prompt, but I just did it again so that it does not deviate from this point. So once I drop in this prompt here, by the way, you can also get this prompt from the same document. It would be in the description below. Once I dropped this prompt, in the response, I got 6 prompts that I can use for creating different parts of the entire product. So what I just have to do from here is I just have to capture these prompts. Let me get the entire thing. And I would have to just drop this into Bolt. One thing I would be doing is Bolt itself is also programmed to build entire apps. So it won't understand that we are trying to build something in phases. So I will just mention, please only build the parts that are mentioned in this prompt. We would be building the other parts of the app in the next prompts. It just makes sure that it is just building the things that we have mentioned in this prompt rather than creating more files, which just creates confusion because what the O3 Mini has planned out how it want to build the entire project, it might not be in line with what might be Bolt's reasoning. And that is just because LLMs are not deterministic. They don't give you the same response if you even drop the exactly same prompt in them. So that's why we would be doing this. I will add my prompt here and I will just send this. This would be taking a moment to get started. Meanwhile, this is working on this. I would want you to just quickly set up your Bolt. So what we have to do over here is you don't have to change any of these settings. One thing that you have to do is you have to connect your Netlify and your Superbase accounts here because we would be using them for deploying the app and integrating the Superbase functionalities. So I've already connected them, but if you haven't, you will just see a connect button over here that would redirect you to these platforms. You can either create a new account or use your existing ones if you have it. And then the next thing is within the future previews. I'm using this dynamic reasoning feature, which has been working pretty well for me because every time you drop in a prompt, Bolt just do an extended thinking where it is also looking at other files to understand how the entire system is built, and it is using a deep reasoning model, something like O3 Mini. I think most probably it would be O3 Mini because none of the other deep reasoning models have their APIs available. So it use it in the background to just think how the app should be built. So I see that it has built the home page of the app. None of this is functional right now. So it has created a front end. Before moving forward, since our project is set up now, I will just connect my Superbase to this project as well. Let me show you how it works. So I will just click on connect here. This would redirect me to the Superbase page where it's requesting the access to the org that I have created within Superbase. When I click on this, then the projects would be connected and I would be redirected back to Bolt, and now it's done. Then I just have to click on this connect to Superbase button on top here. This would ask me to choose between an existing product or create a new product. I will click on create a new product here. I will mention the name of this product, URL shortener, final. I will put in a password here and you can select any region over here, does not matter to be honest. And I will create a new project and it is connecting our Superbase account to this. And if I go on my Superbase account, I will also see a new project is created. So if I go on dashboard, over here, there's the new project that was created. It is still setting up some of the files within this. So we'll come back to this later. We don't need it right now. Now let's move on to next prompt that we have to feed Bolt here. So I will also capture the next prompt. I will do the exact same thing. I will also add the first line that we added earlier in our prompt. And now I will just send this. Also, if you are on the free plan, Bolt also gives you like a daily credit limit. I think it's somewhere around 200k credits. So you can use them for setting up the project, but they might not be enough to maybe run all the prompts. In that case, you might just turn off the thinking mode because that also requires higher credits from your end. So you can just try turning it off, or you can ask the model to give you 3 prompts rather than, let's say, 6 prompts, because that will also require a higher number of credits. But I think within 200k credits, you can set up a project. Anyways, you would be making the rest of the changes when we go within cursor. So it should be enough. Now it has also created the sign in module over here. I'm not sure if we have also configured this. Let's read through this once. Install setup routing and basic UI pages. Okay. So we have just integrated Superbase, and we would be setting up authentication and API calls later. Now let's run the third prompt. The process would remain almost the same for the next 6 prompts. So I will just quickly drop all of these prompts one by one. Taking a quick pause here. Are you a founder who's looking to build your own app, but learning coding is really overwhelming for you at this point, and you don't want to pay a MVP agency $5,000 and still wait 6 weeks to get your MVP back? Then I have something for you. I recently created a guide that helps you learn how you can build your own apps using AI coding tools like Lovable and ChatGPT and Cursor. And all of it requires no coding from you. And this guide takes you from an absolute beginner to someone who can launch an MVP within 2 days and someone who can create a full fledged product within a week. Over here, I would be covering everything from creating a SEO optimized page to integrating OpenAI Cloud APIs within your product, authenticating users with email, Google, or their phone numbers, deploying the app on a custom domain, setting up a backend using Superbase, and collecting payments with Stripe. There are two options. Either you can get the entire course for $179, or you can opt for unlimited support with me that would cost you $449. This is the pricing for only the next 20 slots, and this will increase as soon as we hit 120 sales. The reason is we want to keep the quality of the support and the community consistent. So it sort of is a full package if you're trying to create an app. This include all the lessons that I have learned myself while I was creating apps using AI over the last 6 months. This is for someone who don't want to waste 6 months. This will just help you get started within 4 hours and you can start creating your product. Check it out. It's in the description of the video. See you on the other side. Now back to the video. While you're running this prompt, you might run into this where your bolt would want to create migrations directly in Superbase. There is nothing to worry about. What it is doing is that on your Superbase, which is basically a database, if you just go on the website of Superbase and if you go within your project, you will see that there is a table editor over here. And this is basically sort of a very big spreadsheet where Bolt would be saving the entire data around everyone who's using your app, and including details like, which is the link they uploaded, how many number of clicks they have it would be saving everything over here. And for using this, typically what coders do is they use the SQL editor over here where they put in SQL commands for running this. One benefit of using Bolt is that you don't have to do all of it. It can directly apply all these changes from here, where it can create tables for saving things, and all of it is secured. So you can just directly apply these changes, and this would create new tables in the background. I see that also there is a potential problem. So there was some issue over here. So what happens in these cases is whenever a bug happens, rather than directly clicking on attempt fix, I usually get best responses when I click on discuss problem here. So what happens in this case is that instead of making any change, Bolt just takes a moment to review everything that it did on the last step plus all the files, and then suggest a solution rather than directly making a solution. This, in most cases, gives you the best solution because now the LLM knows what the problem is exactly, In the earlier case where it is making the changes on the go, it could not just understand entirely that what is the problem. The first mistake that is so, or the first thing that they felt is just not right, they directly started editing that, and that just led to a lot of time being wasted on debugging. So I think it has understood the issue. It is with the migrations folder within Superbase. So I will just let it fix this bug. Now let's try applying the changes again in the Superbase table. Now if I go on my Superbase dashboard and I go on table editor and I refresh this, so I see this table called links where it is storing the unique user ID. What is the short URL that was created? What is the original URL? What is the user ID over here, when it was created, the number of clicks on it. So this table basically stores everything that the database needs to remember about the user when they come back on the platform again. So this step is done. Now let's move on to the next step. So I am right now on prompt number 5. Let's go to prompt number 6. I have skipped prompt number 4 because over there you just had to follow the same process. I mean, I skipped showing it on the video. I actually did the entire prompt. You should also run all these entire prompts. And I will run this final prompt. This time I'm not adding the small liner at the start because this is our final prompt. So I will just send this prompt here and let's wait for it to make all the changes. Then what we will do is we will just test the app. We will just see that if everything is working fine. And then for making the UI changes, then for making slight improvements on the app functions, we would be moving to cursor. So it says that our app is currently deployed and it should be working. So let's try it out. Let's drop this URL in the dashboard, basically the URL of our Superbase project. I will just click on shorten URL. Fail to create short URL. Please try again. What is the problem that happened? Error creating short URL, new row policies. So rather than clicking the attempt fix button directly, I will just let it discuss the problems. So the problem over here is that our tables right now only allow people who have signed in on the app to create shortened links, but how it wants to build the entire function is that it want to allow anyone to basically create short URLs. So I think that would be sort of a problem that we wouldn't want right now. So rather than making the suggested change, what I would suggest it to do is that put this entire thing behind the sign in page, and over here we can just have the main homepage where a user can understand what the product does and they can start using it once they sign in or sign out. So I will just mention this here rather than anonymous users to create short links. Let's put the link behind the authentication page. On the home page, we can just keep the hero section and the CTA button that redirects to the sign up page. And I will click send here. So now it has put it behind a sign in wall. So let's try clicking on this. So this is the sign in page. We would have to sign up. So I will open up the discuss mode here so that I can just understand how the entire code base is and where the issue is happening rather than directly making any changes. So I'll just chat here. Why are we not able to sign up on the app? Even when I click on the sign up button, please think step by step and figure out the issue, and then we will talk about implementation. Let's send this. I will just go on my Superbase dashboard. Over here, I will go to authentication just to check if we have authentication enabled on the app. So this allows new users to sign in, sign up. Over here, I see that email is enabled, which is exactly what we wanted. So I see that everything is fine on the Superbase end. So what might be happening is that our code is not correct right now. So let's execute the plan that Bolt just made right now. So it has made some changes in the app. Let's try running this again. So it has changed the entire flow over here. let's try signing up. I will just put in my email and I will use a password here. Let's click on create account. Account created successfully. Now you can sign in. Let's sign in here. User already registered. Okay, so now I have to go to sign in. Let's click on sign in here. And yeah, now I'm redirected on the dashboard. Let's click on create your first link. Over here, I will put up this link. I can put up a custom name here. So let's try putting something like bold new video. Let's create a short URL and we have the short URL created. Let's try testing this. I will open up a new tab and I will put in this URL. Okay, so I connect the project. Okay, so this redirected me back to some Superbase link, but I don't think this is the right one. So I will just copy this error from here and let's go back to here. I'll select the discuss mode again. I will add this here. Apart from this, let's go on our Superbase ones and see that how this entire thing is set up on the backend. So on the Superbase, we are using edge functions right now for building our backend. So it has created a redirect API over here. This API would be running every time someone creates a new link and that link is fired every time. So if I go on logs here, I will see that what might have failed in this. So in this log, I see nothing. So most probably this API has not even fired. So let's go back to Bolt and see that what might be the issue. Or I see the error. You see the issue, the error is expecting an authentication token, but it's not receiving one. Yeah, when you click on the shorten link. This is happening because the edge function is being accessed directly and it's configured. Should not require authentication. Modify, remove any code that enforces authentication. Function should be able to read the short ID from the URL and read it regardless of whether it's. I will also just check would it will make sure that we are tracking the clicks on the short URL. Okay, so then when we click on implement this plan, then the discuss mode would be disabled and we would be back to editing mode. So this is editing the pages here. So let's try signing in again. I will click on sign in. I will choose the same account and I see I already have a link here. Let's click on redirecting this link. I still see the same error. Let's go back to our edge functions to see that if this was even deployed in the first place. Let's go to details. I see that over here there's this function called enforce JWT verification, which requires a valid key in the authorization header, which might be causing this problem. So I will just check this with Bolt 2. I will just take a quick screenshot. Let's go back to Bolt. Still getting the same error on the redirected short link. We'll also paste the error here. I see this writing turns on supervis. Should I turn off the security implications? I will add the picture here. So in this case, it recommends us to remove this check and it also clearly explains us why this is fine in this case because there's a URL shortener. So we want anyone to be able to access the shortened URL without them. So be clicking on that short URL invokes this function. So be this function needs to be accessible by everyone. That's why we cannot use a verification in the header itself, which sort of makes sense. So what I will do is I will go back on the edge function. I will disable this and I will save the changes. Once I save these changes, let's come back over here. I will just click on the link again. And yes, now the link is working. Let's try with something else. I will try with, let's say, aistudio.google.com. I will just copy this link. I will go back on our dashboard. I'll create new link and I will just give this name AI Google. I'll click on create short URL. I will copy the shortened URL and I will paste this here. And yes, the redirection seems to be working fine. The next thing is we just have to make sure that the count is also working. So I will come back on this page. I will refresh this. I will go to sign in again. But the count right now is 0 for both of these. This should be incremented to 1. So we have sort of hit the upper ceiling of building the functions using Bolt right now. So the next step for us is to just get into cursor, which is much more powerful, and we get more targeted functions over there. Plus we can also use reasoning models like O3 Mini and others over there to just figure out what the actual issue is. So now we are done with the step 3, which is creating the first version. And now we are moving on to the next step where we would be installing this extension called Bolt to GitHub, through which we would be pushing a repository to GitHub, and we would be moving to cursor for making rest of the enhancements. By using this Chrome extension rather than using something that Bolt already provides, the reason is right now, if you go on Bolt, there is only one way of exporting your files, that you just download the entire document from here, then you start using it within cursor, and then you just upload it back on a repository like GitHub or on directly on Netlify to deploy it. You won't be able to come back to it within Bolt if you would want to. So over here, what I would be doing is I would be using this extension over here. This extension connects your Bolt with GitHub, so you can directly push repositories from Bolt to your GitHub. How to use this? You can download it from the link in the description. So if you go on the link, you would be redirected to this website. You would be redirected to this site where you can install the extension from here. Once you install this extension, then you would have to do a bit of setup. Once you've installed this extension, just come back on Bolt, and when you click on this, you would be redirected to the settings page where you would have to create a fine grained token for using this. For creating a fine grained token, you can just use this redirection link over here. When you click on this, you would be redirected to this confirming access screen. Once you do this, then you would be redirected to the screen where you have to select the things you want to give it permissions of. And you basically have to give it 3 permissions of your repos, of your admin, and of your code. This is completely secured. There is no risk that would come up if you use this. I have been using it from a while, and I haven't seen any bug in using this. Of course, there is added risk that it has access to your GitHub. There's definitely some risk in using this. So I would also recommend you to just download this code base as well. So once you export this file, then you can use this extension. When you click on this button, then it would ask you to add a commit message to this. So I will just add first commit over here, and I will just click on upload. It will start pushing the repository to GitHub. If I go to my GitHub account, I will also see that a new repository is being created. So it has created this new repository, and it is slowly committing the files. All my files are now deployed, and this is a private repository, so no one will also have access to this. So now what I can do is so now we are at this repository which have all the files that we exported from Bolt. The next step for us is to add the final touches, make sure that everything is working fine, and then we would be ready to deploy it on the web. So we have pushed the repository to GitHub. Now we are just importing this in Cursor where you would be making enhancements. And then we just have one step left where you would be pushing it on the web. So let's get started with this step. Over here, what I will do is I will capture the link of this repository. For this, you just have to go to code, this button on the top here, and I will capture this code. I will copy this to my clipboard, and then I will go back on the desktop where I have cursor opened up. If you are using cursor for the first time, this is the first screen you will see. You won't have your projects listed over here because you would still have to choose the repository, but you will see a option over here to open a project, to clone a repo, and then connect via SSH. We will choose clone repo over here. So over here, you would be pasting the link of the GitHub repository that we just downloaded. I will click enter here. And when I do that, it will ask me to select a destination for my repository. So over here, I will select my projects here, and I will just select this repository, and then it will start importing all the files. So now it has cloned the repository. I will open this up. And once this is open, I'm within the repository, which has all the files. Now we would be setting up our cursor. So just making sure everything is visible to you here. So we will just set up our cursor. So the first thing we would be doing is we would be going within settings. If you have already done it, you can skip this part. If you are doing this for the first time, then you would have to turn on some of the features. So you will go within features, cursor tab would be open by default. The next thing we would be turning on is this enable auto run mode. This is also called as YOLO mode. What happens in this case is that you don't have to approve some of the functions that cursor does. So it just makes the entire development faster. Although there are some commands that we don't want cursor to do, these are commands like which files it can delete and which it cannot. You can get this entire list from the description below. I will add the list, and you can add one of these commands one by one. Then the next thing we would be doing is we would be coming on models over here. So in models, we would be using Sonnet 3.7 majorly. So make sure that you have this model turned on over here. And the last thing is we would be adding some rules over here. So these are basically rules for cursor on how we want it to act. So there are some rules on what kind of code we want. And then apart from that, we have also inserted information over here so that our app is secured. So I will also drop this in the description below. You can add it in your user rules over here. And after adding the rules, we would be adding a MCP server over here. This MCP server is called browser tool. What it does, it captures all the information that is happening within your browser. Everything that is happening on the background. So if you go to any website and if you click on inspect, it will show you everything that is happening on the background. And let's say if you click on one of these links, the console log will show that which function is running on the background. So why we are installing this MCP, so that all of this information can directly get imported into Cursor without us having to do it every time. So how do you install this? You go on this website called browsertools.agentdesk.ai/installation. Over here, what you have to do is you first have to download a Chrome extension. You will see a link over here to download the Chrome extension. And once you download it, then you have to add that. So for this, you just have to go to settings. Within settings, you will see a menu called extensions. And within extension, you have to just click on this icon over here, load unpacked, and you would just have to add the file that you just downloaded. And once you unpack that, then you have to come back on your cursor. You have to just copy this command based on what device you are using, Windows or Mac OS. And then you have to come back on your cursor and you have to add new global MCP. And you would have to input the command that you just downloaded from here, this command. And once you add this new MCP server, then you would have to run this using the terminal down below. So I will just copy this command for running this. I will copy this and I will come back on my cursor. I will open the terminal. So this is the bottom toggle. And once I open it and once I click send, it will start running this MCP server on the background. And now my MCP server would be connected. So this is the entire process. If you want a much more detailed tutorial on this, you should check out this other video on my channel where I show you step by step how we installed it. Once you have this MCP server installed, then we can move on to the next part where we actually start making the changes within the app. So before doing that, you would have to do one thing. You would have to come up over here and you would have to install all the required files. So you would have to just type in the command npm install, and once you run this, then it will download all the required files within your repository. So now it's done. Once you have installed this, then just click on npm run dev and this would start running the project on your local server. I will click on this link on which the local server is now running. When I go to inspect, then I will see this option on the right where I see two small arrows. When I click on that, I can see options of the extended menu. Over here, I will select Browser Tools MCP. And once I go within this, this would have automatically connected with your app on the left and with cursor. So now you can just capture screenshots from here and it will directly go back to cursor and all the things. So this just makes the process much more faster. So what we will do over here is we will quickly test this entire function once. I think the only thing that was not working for us within Bolt was the function where we were getting the count of how many people are clicking on the link. So let's click on sign in here and let's put in the password and we will sign in. So once I sign in over here and once I open one of these links, this should redirect to the link. This worked. So now let's go back to cursor and mention that our count is not updated on this page, the number of clicks. Our count function, I will also reference the file where this entire thing is happening. So I will select the Superbase folder within which it has all the functions related to what is happening on the backend. Our count function is not tracking the number of clicks that a specific link generated. Thing step by step, check the relevant logs, and tell us why this is happening. I will also switch to the tab where it might have the specific logs, and then I'll select the agent mode over here and I will just send this. So it is calling the MCP tool here, seeing what are the console log errors and everything else. So you would have to do this manually earlier. So this just makes the entire process so much faster. And since we have added all the automated commands over here, we don't have to come up over here and accept this every time. It is basically checking all the files on itself. So this is telling us a solution for doing this. It want us to update the row level security of one of these tables. So what I will do is it has provided me a SQL command that we have to run on Superbase. I will just capture this and I will go on my Superbase. I will select the project and over here I will open up the SQL file editor. I will run this command and I think this has created the relevant row level security here. So I see 7 policies. So it has added this new row level security where service role can update click counts. So this should fix it. Now it has also made changes to the code and it has also provided us functions that we have to run so that this is deployed. So I will click on run here. This should deploy the functions. I think I already have a Superbase account logged in. So I will quickly log out and then I will show you what is the process of logging in your Superbase from here. So you have to run this command called npx Superbase login. Cursor will give you this command if you just ask it. And once you do this, then it would ask you to just press enter over here and then it will directly open up your cursor the in the browser directly. Over here you would have to capture this code and then you would have to put it back here. Once you do this, then your Superbase would be connected. And before pushing these changes, another thing that we have to do is we have to keep Docker running on our computer. So for downloading Docker, you just have to go to Docker's website, just select, you just search on Docker desktop, then you just go on the download Docker desktop, just select the device you are on and you just have to download this and start running this. So I will just quickly run this on my system, select Docker here. And once you have this running, then you can let me quickly sign in. And once you are logged in, then you don't have to do anything. What you have to do is come back on cursor and ask it, can you please run a container in my Docker for deploying the Superbase functions? So it would take a while for starting running this container. And once this is done, then it will ask you to just select the project that you want to deploy this function on. And it has an error running this container. Let me just copy this. Let me send the error here. So what would happen in this mode a lot of time is that it will itself just understand that what is the issue and it will start fixing it. That just makes the entire development so much more faster. So now it basically ran the entire program like 3 to 4 times after just finding out what was the issue. And you don't have to constantly click on accept every time. So that just makes the entire process much more faster. Now, if I go back on my Superbase just to check if the new edge function is created, I will just come up here. I will see that it is updated a few seconds ago. And let's go on the details of this. And I see that the JWT verification button is also turned off. So this looks fine. Now that everything is set up, let's try running this program again. I will click, I will just refresh this page. And I will click on this link again. Now the redirect is working. Now let's try refreshing this. And I see that the number of clicks has also updated. So this function is working well now. Now the last part for us to do is we have to update the UI of this page, and we have to actually make this website look like this page that we picked up initially as our design inspiration. So what I will do over here is I will just capture a screenshot of this page. I will download this and I will come back on this page. I will sign out. We go on the home page. Yeah, this is the page that we want to look like this image. So what we will do is we will come back on cursor. On cursor, we will open up a new composer window. We will move the terminal down below so that we have enough space. And over here, I will mention we want to redesign how the home page of the websites look. I will add the image that we just downloaded. We want it to look like the attached image. This image, please move the sign in and sign up button as icons within the screen and add a heading and subheading above the screen. And one more thing I would be doing over here is I will also capture the source code or the actual code that was written for writing this website. For this, I'm using this extension called PageRep. You can also download this from the Chrome store. This is available. So what it does is it captures code that is rendered on the website. That also gives clues to cursor on how they should build the page. I will also add a link for this in the description. You can just click on the icon, and when you click on the icon, it asks you that if you want to select the entire page or the element. Since this page itself is not very big, I will go to select the entire page, and I see the code is not very long. If it's very long for the entire page, you can do it section by section by using the select element button over here. I will copy this and I will come back on my cursor. Is the code of how the website was created in the reference. So after cursor have made the initial changes, our website looks something like this, which is definitely not what we wanted, but this is one step in that direction. From this point onwards, we would be doing a bit of image generation because it's not possible to create graphics like these within any development platform. Even when companies create websites like these, there is a designer who create everything on the around, and just for the interaction parts, that's when a developer actually comes in. So what we would be doing is we would be creating these backgrounds, these images separately. But before getting into that, the first thing I will do is I will make this website responsive. Right now, this does not extend to the entire screen. So what I will do is I will come back on cursor and I will mention, please make the website responsive. So meanwhile, it's fixing the website. What I will do is I'll show you that how you can generate images for using in your hero section. So over here, we would be using a website called Replicate. So if I come on Replicate, I am directly logged in. But what you can do is if you are not already logged in, just come on the home screen here. Over here, you will see a sign in button on the top. You can sign up or sign in. I will sign in using GitHub. And when I do that, I would have to just authorize my GitHub account and I'm signed in. Over here, just go on explore, select image models. When you do that, you would be redirected on this page there where there are bunch of image models. Since for this use case, we don't want to create a very high definition image or maybe replicate any element. So what I will do is I will select this smaller model called Flux Chanel here. And then we have to just create prompts for using within this. So I will open up any model. I will just select for mini. So over here, I will just attach the reference image, and then I will mention we want to create a web page but has all the elements as this website. For this, we would have to generate some graphics. Then I will list down what graphics we want to make. Since we want the website to be responsive, we would have to generate the background and the monitor at the front separately. Same with the icons. So I will mention we have to generate the background image, the monitor. I will also call this the center element, and the icons within it separately. For the icons, we want to generate three. I will keep one icon for create. I will keep one icon for shorten link. Another one I will keep for sign in, and the third one for sign up. So we will have just three icons on the screen. Help me with 5 prompts that I can use for generating these 5 elements on a image model. Customize these prompts for Flux. I will also get some good example prompts. Example prompts. On this website, they have like 10 prompts, which are very good for creating images with AI. So I will capture some of these prompts. All these images look quite nice. So I will also capture this another prompt, and let's paste this within our original prompt, and let's get the output. So it gives you a prompt of saying a digital painting of serene landscape, which does not match what we want here. So I think it just made a mistake. So let me try switching the model over here. So instead of GPT-4o, let's try it with Gemini 2.5. Let's see if it gives a better response here. So that's a benefit of using something like the T3 chat. You can directly change the models instead of actually jumping websites from one to another. That just takes a lot more time. Over here, you can just test out multiple models. So let's look at this photorealistic scene capturing a retro computer deck setup from late 19, excluding the central monitor. Okay, so this looks nice. I will just capture this prompt and let's paste this over here. And since this is our background, I'll select a aspect ratio of 16:9 so that if it comes up on the entire screen, and this can be cropped. Let's say if this is being shown on a phone and vice versa. So I will keep 2 outputs for now, and let's try running this. By the way, you would have to link your payment. Okay, so we wanted this without the monitor. So what I will do is I will tweak this and I will just add one more line. Please don't create the monitor. Remember that. Yeah. I was mentioning that you would have to attach your payment method over here that is required. Okay, system generating the monitor. I think that's one of the issue. Let's remove computer from here and see what is the output we are getting. Try running this command again. Okay, it's still generated the monitor. So let's try getting another prompt. The model is generating the monitor in all images, no matter how we mention it. When I drop the background prompt, can you please describe everything except the monitor in the prompt so that the model does not get confused? Let's try this. So let's put this prompt here. Let's try running this. Okay, so this matches the vibe. I like the second one. So let's download this image. Let's use the second one as the background of our website. Gives a similar feel with this one. You can use a higher model like Flux Pro. I did not use it here because it takes more time to load. But if you want a more HD image, you can use that. Now let's try creating the rest of the elements. So now we have the background. Now let's generate the monitor image. For this, I will keep the aspect ratio 1:1. So let's run this. I want the monitor to be facing straight in front. The monitor should be facing directly in front. And in bracket, I will mention towards the screen. Let's try running this again. So I like the first image. I don't know why it has included Nike's logo over here, but that is fine. That works well with a website. I also like the second image, but I think this chord over here looks a bit weird. That's why let's use the first one. So I will just download both of these images. Let's get to generating the next image. So for the icons, what I will do is rather than running three different prompts, I will just try to do it in one prompt so that all the three icons also look similar. Give me one single prompt for generating all the three icons. And I will add one additional thing here. Don't mention the name of the item. Just describe what needs to be created. I will copy this prompt and I will select 16:9 here so that it also has space for generating three different icons. And let's run this command. Let's see if it can generate all the three icons at once. The first icon looks a bit off. I think we would have to generate each of these icons one by one. So let's just generate one right now. Let's select 1:1 again. Let's see what we cook here. Okay, this looks nice. I think this is good. So I will just download this one. Then let's drop the second prompt. Okay, I like the first image. Let's download this and let's generate the third one as well. I like the second icon over here. So I will just download this. And now we have all the things that we needed for generating the website. So let's go back to our website, see that if it is responsive now. It is, but I don't know why it's showing us the mobile version over here. It should show me the desktop version when I am on a desktop. Right now, it does not. So while it is doing this, what we will do is we will just go to all the folders that we just generated and I will extract the relevant files from each one of those. Let's use this one. This will looks much more cleaner to me when I compare it with this. So let's get the first picture. What I will do is I will go to my cursor. I will minimize this and I will select the public folder. Over here, it saves all the images. So I will move all of these images one by one in this public folder. So it has this image. Let's also capture the other images. We want to. Then for the rest of the images, we would be removing their backgrounds as well. I don't know why this is not getting this correctly. I think this website is already fixed. There was some error while we were reloading this. So I would stop the generation now. Let's accept all these changes. Let's try clicking on sign in if this is working fine. Yeah. Sign in, sign up are working fine. So what I will do from here is we want to now fix the home page. So we already have the images. Now I have to quickly just remove the background from some of the images. I will use this tool called remove.bg. It's very good if you want to just remove backgrounds from images. This does not take up WebP images. So we will have to change their format. So it has removed the background of this image. I will download this. I will do the same process with all the three other icons. So let's select the image. We wanted to use the first one here. Let's also get the second one. Over here, let's use this icon. And let's also download the last image. Let's use this one here. Now let's quickly remove their backgrounds. I will come back on the home page. We'll drop the picture. We have removed background of all the three images. Now let's jump back on cursor and let's add these files here. I will make this screen smaller. Let's go back here. So let's move the desktop, also the three icons. So we have all the three icons and the desktop. Now we just have to combine them. So let's open up a new window. Before this, I before this, accept all the changes that we just added earlier regarding the aspect ratio. Now let's open up a new window over here. I will ask it to please use the new images in the public folder. We want to replace the background of the image. I will tag the exact image here. I don't know, I'm not able to tag this. Let me just add the image as the context, attached image, and then add the desktop element in the middle and the three icons within the desktop screen. I will tag all the images here. So we have all the images tagged, and let's mention make these changes to the home page. To the home page. I will also tag the home page here so that it knows which page to change. And I will add a line saying keep all the text intact. So now when I send this will start making changes to the home page. So it has added the background. Okay, I think the first part is done. Now what we have to do is we have to just shift the monitor a bit, downward, then changing small things here and there. So let's take a screenshot of this page. Let's go back here and let's mention, please shift the desktop such that it seems that it is on top of the table in the background, and make sure this stays this way on all device sizes. I will also add the screenshot here. So I will do a couple of more changes, make the size of the tag the images. So I wanted to increase the size of the monitor here. So over here you will see that the monitor is right now not showing up in front of the screen. So what I want to do is I want to increase the size of the monitor, something that covers these CDs over here and should come up to this edge. So let me do that. I think 2x would be a good metric. I think this size is a bit too big. Let's make it 1.5x. Let's see what happens then. So let me do a couple of more fixes over here. What I want is the background image should never let the user scroll. So what I mean by that is it should always be cropped based on what is the screen size, and the view should always look like this. So let me enable this. So after making a few adjustments, the page looks a bit like this. The monitor is fixed to the bottom. I like the effect on the background. I still want to change the size of the icons here and the arrangement and the size of the title here. We can do all of this within bold since it's just size changes. The rest, positioning and everything is done. So what I will do now is I will just push this on GitHub. So I will come up here. I will open a new chat bar. You can select any model for this. All of them knows what the code for this is. And I will also give it the link of the GitHub repository where I want to push this. So I will open up the GitHub repository where we were saving this code. Let's paste this here. So let's run this command to get in it. Then, so we already have the repository. Let's add the files within it and let's commit this. Got this. So we got this error. Let's push this here. And now our code is deployed. So let's go back on the repository. If I will refresh this, then I should see all the fresh commits. Yes, all these files are updated. Even the images here are updated. Let's go back on Bolt and make the required changes and publish this website on the web. So let's open up this repository on Bolt. So for doing this, we would be using the same extension that we used earlier. This is called Bolt to GitHub. So we would be selecting this repository here. So for doing this, we would have to select this new repository that is here with the same name as before. The reason is because since we have made the commits, all these commits would be now saved in this new repository. So we would have to import this. So let's import this. And just for caution, how this extension works it it makes a copy of your main repository. If it's a private repository, it makes a public copy of it. Then it opens it up within your Bolt, and then it deletes the public copy that is just created. So this might create some security risk, but use this as your own risk. I have find it useful and I still use it. I don't feel that within a minute someone can copy the entire repository, but use this at your own risk. So it took around 5 minutes, and now it's launching the new repository that it just cloned. So it is now initialized. So now it's loading it within Bolt. And once this would be loaded, then it would be deleting the entire repository. So if I go on GitHub right now, on GitHub, this public repository that is just created, it would be deleted automatically once this loads here. Think it got a problem. Supervised URL is required. Let's discuss this problem. How I see the repository is loaded on Bolt. So it should be automatically deleting this repository. And now the repository is automatically deleted. So this extension has done the job. We don't see the background, all the icons on this page because Bolt does not render any external images that we have saved in the public folders. So with Bolt, there is this one issue that if you have a public image like we had in our project that does not shows up, and even if we deploy using Bolt, that won't show up either. So what we would have to do again is we would have to push our repository back on GitHub, and from there we can deploy it using Netlify. So let me show you how. Just click the same icon over here. This would deploy this to your GitHub. I will mention again last version, and let's upload this. So it is deploying this project. Let's wait a while it completes this process. So let's deploy this project using Netlify. So let's go on Netlify. When you go over here, you just have to select the website, just log in, use the same GitHub account that you used for the repository. And once you do this, then just click on add new site here and select import an existing project. Select GitHub over here and then select the project that you want to do it for. So I will just select the project that is recently created. I will give this a site name. I will put up this name and let's deploy this full site. So the deploy is in progress. Let's wait for a while and then we can test it out on a live link. And now the project is deployed on Netlify. If I go on this website here, this would redirect me to the website of the page. This has all the icons. I can go within this. I can sign up or sign in using my account, and this would also redirect me to the links page. I can also create a new link. So all of this seems to be working fine, and the project is completed. So this was the entire workflow from start to the finish. If you are among the few who actually completed this, kudos to you. You have a project that you just created. If you are interested to learn that how you can make this website even much better looking, you can check out this other video from my channel. Over here, I talk about how you can use UI libraries for improving your websites. And by creating these sites, you can actually make real money. Bolt is running hackathon where they aim to get 100K people together building products. And the biggest thing is that this has cash prizes over 1 million. And this is actual money because they have also roped in a lot of sponsors. They have Levels IO and Logan from Google as their judges. They already ran their first part of this competition, which was creating a landing page for this. Now they are adding more competitions to this. So if I go on the website, it is gonna start very soon. So if you are watching this video before this, try out Bolt, get a bit comfortable with it because all these competitions is a good way to also enhance your skills, plus also make some money out of it. I hope that you take part in this. You build out something awesome for the hackathon. That's all for this one. Thanks a lot for going through. See you in the next one. Bye bye.